Hello, I'm Harish. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, in this channel, we talk about building stuff without coding, without absolutely writing any line of code. I've done a couple of streams where I showcased how you could install OpenClaw on your local machine or even on a Exo sandbox, which is a remote machine where you can install OpenClaw and run it fully as your own personal assistant. Today, I'm going to talk about NVIDIA's NemoClaw. NemoClaw is not something new. I'm not going to say NVIDIA just dropped this and is killing any other products in the agent space. Nothing like that. NemoClaw has existed for a while now, post OpenClaw. The idea is very simple. OpenClaw is powerful, but it can really uh, become a security nightmare if it is not sandboxed well enough. Basically, the idea of NemoClaw is where security comes in. NemoClaw is an open source reference stack currently in alpha. NemoClaw is an open source stack that enables you to run OpenClaw agents much more safer and also easier. It sits on NVIDIA's OpenShell runtime, giving you essentially a hardened environment with guided onboarding, layered network protection, and also secure state management right out of the box. Right today, we're going to see how to run this and install this fully locally on your machine. I'm using a Mac, so this tutorial applies to a Mac. The idea is very simple. Keep your OpenAI key if you want to use OpenAI as your inference provider, or Ollama installed if you want to just run it fully locally with your local inference using Ollama. I'll show you how to configure all of this. Don't worry, just copy this command first and open your terminal. We'll jump right into it. But before we do that, I want to quickly also mention some basic requirements. But before we do that, I want to quickly also mention some basic requirements of what NemoClaw needs in order to run properly. If you go to the GitHub repo, I'll link everything that I talk about in this video in the description below so that it's easier for you to go check them out. On their GitHub repo, there are clear instructions of what are the prerequisites that you need. One is, of course, minimum 4 cores on your CPU, 8 GB RAM and 20 GB free disk space. You will also need to have Node.js, NPM and also Docker installed. Without Docker, this won't work. Like you can see here, just install Docker and then you should be able to run this quickly, right? Also, I'm going to show you how to run this and create your agent that you can chat with on Telegram, right? So also I will show you how to create a Telegram bot as well. As part of this tutorial, I'm going to make it full-fledged, how you can go from zero and install NemoClaw, configure your OpenAI API as your inference provider. You can also use OpenAI compatible APIs. I'll show you how to configure them as well. Then I will also show you how to link your Telegram bot. All of these is actually part of the onboarding, right? So let's get started. If you go to the website, first step is copy the curl command. This command for all of you non-developers is to install OpenClaw. Sorry, NemoClaw. Got used to talking about OpenClaw a lot. Okay, this is my terminal. I'm going to expand this so that you can just see this clearly. Right? Okay. Now let's zoom in a bit. I'm going to paste this and I'm going to click enter. This will take a while depending on your machine and also speed. First run is always longer. Like you can see, it's doing a bunch of things. For all of you non-developers, don't have to worry about it. Let it do its thing. We'll get back to it when it asks us questions. In the meantime, I actually also want to talk about what are the primary differences between OpenClaw and NemoClaw, right? The first, obviously, is the policy notice that you may have, right? I want to say yes, you can read it at your own pace, right? This is from OpenClaw itself, so make sure you read it. I will say yes, and it does a few checks. And in the meantime, let's talk about differences between OpenClaw very quickly, right? For all of you non-developers, here is how I would basically talk about differences between OpenClaw and NemoClaw. If I were to explain to you in a simple, easy way to understand, OpenClaw is the assistant, and imagine NemoClaw as the secure stack, right? Or if I were to give a basic example, I would say OpenClaw is the intern and NemoClaw is the security lab or a secure lab, where OpenClaw is the brain, the logic, and the personality. It knows how to write code, browse the web, and basically all of the other stuff like talk to you in Slack and all of that. And NemoClaw is the secure lab. Essentially, it is a specialized high security room built by NVIDIA specifically. NemoClaw, Nemotron are the models from NVIDIA. where NemoClaw has a thick glass lock door and also a security guard, which is OpenShell, which is the environment that enables you to run. You will see OpenShell mentioned here quite a few times, right? While this is happening, you can see it here, right? So that's what is the key difference. If you hire an intern, which is OpenClaw, to work in your living room, they have only access to your whole house if it is OpenClaw. But if you put the same intern inside NemoClaw or the secure LAN, then they can only touch what you placed on their desk and nothing beyond. That's the best part about NemoClaw, and that is exactly why you should consider running NemoClaw instead of OpenClaw. Rest everything remains the same. It's built on top of OpenClaw itself, right? So, okay, let's go to the step one is configuring the inference options. There is NVIDIA, there is OpenAI, there is any OpenAI compatible API, which means you can use ISA, you can use Featherless, you can use Gaia, you can use pretty much any OpenAI compatible API and configure NemoClaw for this other Anthropic compatible endpoints or Google Gemini, or of course, last one is Olama. I am going to make this simple and use OpenAI compatible API or OpenAI itself. And I have a key ready to go with me. Make sure you have your key ready to go. And if you want to use Olama, you can just say 7, right? Press enter and it'll ask you to paste your API key. You can also, in fact, click this link and get the API key. I've pasted my key and it'll ask you which model to use, right? Always use the latest model. I would highly recommend so that your agent performs the best. I'm going to pick just for the sake of this example and click enter. That's it. That's the main configuration done. And now you have second question, which is enable Brave web search. Brave web search is like Google web search or DuckDuckGo web search. If you want to use Brave as the browser for doing any web searches for your agent, or if you want to give essentially your agent to go search on the internet using Brave, which is a privacy focused browser, you can actually enable it, but you will have to go create the API key for that as well and copy it and paste. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to say no. And then it'll ask you, where do you want to talk to your agent with? Telegram is going to select. I'm going to say Telegram. And then once you click enter, I just pressed 1. It selected Telegram. Once you click enter, you will need to paste a bot token, right? Press enter. It will say create a bot via bot further and copy the token. Right? This is very simple. Let me show you how it's done. All right. Open your Telegram, right? And then search for bot father. Search for the bot father and open bot father and click start. Then it'll ask you create a new bot. Just say new bot. All right. What do you want to call it? I want to say HK personal assistant bot. Remember, this has to end with the letters bot or BOT. Press enter. It'll ask you to give your username, the same, and then it'll give you a key that you have to copy and come here and paste it and press enter. It is asking for user ID. To get this, you will have to go to user info bot. Just copy this, go back to your Telegram and search for user info bot. Make sure you select the right one, others can be spam. So beware when you're using Telegram. Just make sure your user ID matches the exact one that is given in the NemoClaw instructions. Press it and then press start and it will give you the user ID. Just copy the user ID, go back here, paste it here, press enter. That's it. Now you can start chatting with your NemoClaw instance once it is set up using your Telegram bot, right? Now sandbox is, like I said, if your agent is living in the living room is your sandbox. So you can create multiple agents essentially through multiple sandboxes, have them isolated in those specific sandboxes to do specific tasks. That's how you create multiple agents using NemoClaw. So for this example, I'm going to use the same name, which is HK personal assistant as the sandbox name, right? I'm going to press enter and this will take some time from here, where it'll install sandbox, configure all the providers that we did earlier, and then at the end of this you will get a URL where you can start chatting with your agent directly. So we'll wait for this to finish and get back to this. Ideally, you should not see any errors. What in case you see any errors, the one of the common errors in this case will be if your Docker is not running. Please run your Docker. Docker is a tool that lets you install NemoClaw. You can see it installed a image container that is now running OpenClaw. So you need Docker enabled and running for NemoClaw to work. All right, we'll get back to this once all the 51 steps are done. I'll leave it all on the video so you can read it. Okay, we're almost at the end of the number of steps that it is doing. So I thought it might be important for you to understand why do you need sandbox or what a sandbox is. Uh, to simply understand this, standard AI agents or chatbots just talk. And then you install OpenClaw, you can talk to it. OpenClaw agents also go beyond just being chatbots. They can actually execute code and also use tools, right? Any tool you can imagine, they can talk to the tool, get data from there or push data there, do things on your behalf. And without a sandbox, an agent that hallucinates, let's say you use a local model or a small language model, it can potentially hallucinate. And if it is hallucinating or if it is prompt injected by a malicious website, imagine it could theoretically remove all photos or delete all emails on your machine or on your Gmail. And NemoClaw Sandbox ensures that even if the agent's logic fails, the environment holds firm. And that's the sandbox, right? That's how I would make it easier for you to understand what a sandbox is. All right, let's wait for this to finish. Almost done. If you installed OpenClaw before installing NemoClaw, you should see a gateway URL once you finish installation, right? You can click there and open the gateway URL and start chatting instantly with your agent. Something similar will happen here also. You get the same actually because NemoClaw is essentially running OpenClaw itself. It'll give you the OpenClaw URL, gateway URL that you can open up and instantly start chatting. You can do the same with Telegram bot as well that you just created. You can actually message that bot and it will respond from this agent itself. So you can start giving it tasks, right? Okay, awesome. Now we are at the policy tier, right? Okay, this is also something important that you have to understand, right? There are three options in terms of policy tiers. What is a policy tier? We have restricted, balanced, and open. Restricted is essentially a high security tasks only permission where only AI inference works and internal agent tools will work, but no external web access. So if you want the agent to be smart or get data from the internet, that will not work if you select restricted, right? And if you select balanced, essentially it's for general development and research purposes. It will use a few libraries like Node, PyPy, PyPI, Hugging Face, Brew, and Brave, right? These will be available for your agent to work with. And essentially this approach or this policy tier will allow your agent to download packages, search the web, and also grab models, right? Then comes the open. Open is everything in balance that I just talked about, plus Slack, Telegram, Discord, Jira, and also Outlook access, right? Which is full productivity workflows. And in fact, when you select each of these, you can actually configure which APIs or tools your agents need access. So how to select this? Just arrows to move up and down and then space bar, right? I'm going to say open to show you how to configure and what options are available. And once you press enter, it will say which ones do you want to enable. RW is read and write. Are you allowing your agent to read and write to Hugging Face or use read and write on Brave or Slack or Discord? In fact, you can also say plus here and it will say read and write. You can press space and it will enable it, right? So for local inference as well. Just showing you how to do this. And if you press R, it will change to read only, right? If there is RW, it is read and write. Press enter to confirm. Now, what this will do essentially is install all these libraries, all the presets that we just selected, the agent could have access to. Now it will start installing all of them. It will take some time. We'll get back to this once it is done. You will most likely see no errors while it is doing this. So let's get back to this once it is complete. Awesome. That's it. Like you can see, this is what you should see when the installation completes. Like I said, there is a dashboard that you can immediately click and open and start chatting with your agent with, right? You can see these are the sessions. If you know OpenClaw from before, you can just ask what can you do, and like you can see it uses the same model that we just selected and it will start responding. As simple as that, right? And then you can also go to config and modify all these options that you have, where you can change the appearance, how better you want it to look. Everything is OpenClaw again, right? That's it. That's how simple it is to install NemoClaw, essentially running OpenClaw in a secure environment through NVIDIA's OpenShell, right? I hope You can start now experimenting with autonomous agents without the security anxiety that OpenClaw gets you, right? And if you're on Windows, one last tip, right? All you have to do is download WSL, which is Windows Subsystem for Linux, and run the same command that I started this whole journey with. And if I quickly go back to the terminal where you saw the final output, you can see, right, you can connect to the sandbox or create multiple sandboxes. You can just run this command next and okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's quickly run this command. I'll show you a quick tip. Once you run this, you can actually run NemoClaw and connect directly with this, and also in your Telegram start chatting with the agent that you just created. Right, if you go to this and start, don't worry, I will delete this bot right after this video is posted. Now you can see that's it. You can just say hello, and this will use your OpenAI API, or if you use OpenAI's API itself, that's how it's responding. You can give your agent a persona, you can tell it how to respond, all of that, set up the agent's soul and start chatting with it from Telegram itself, wherever you are on the go. That's how simple it is to install NemoClaw and to get all commands and more commands and tips that you can use like this one. Check the link in the description below. If you have liked this video, please share this with someone who may need it, who wants to learn how to run or install OpenClaw through NemoClaw. And that's the tutorial on how to install NemoClaw fully on your machine, how to configure the inference, how to configure the channels and the places where you can start chatting with your NemoClaw instance. I hope you like this one. If you did, drop a like to this video and also comment below what agents are you building with NemoClaw. I will see you in another one. Peace.